Paul?
Yes.
Bills?
Aye.
Curtis?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 members present. That makes a quorum. Everybody has the agenda in front of them. Any questions about it? I hear a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Any? Russell, okay. Or second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. You got a busy morning today.
The agenda has been approved. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Hearing none. I'll go on to Randy Schultz and liability insurance.
We're on the agenda. I'll go to wait till
We'll wait till later. Okay. Susie Warner not here.
But I have some information from Susie. She's not able to make it today. The employee benefits fair, we are in open enrollment. It is November. Open enrollment is the month of November for benefit year starting 12/1. The benefits fair is next Thursday and Friday. Thursday all day here in the boardroom and half a day on Friday. You have a copy of the flyer in front of you that is attached to everyone's paychecks today so that all employees are aware of it. The retiree insurance renewal letters were mailed last week, giving them the new rates for the new year. There are 2 years for the retirees, those that are under 65 and those that are over 65. Their year starts January 1st to, conform to Medicare. So retirees that are under 65 get a letter with the new rates and an invitation to next week's benefits fair. Those that are over 65 get a letter to a open enrollment benefits renewal that we hold in December, and that is scheduled for December 14th from 9 to noon. So those are all moving forward like they should.
Any questions? Moving on, we go on to the workman's compensation risk management. Is that where you want
Yep,
to come back in?
So, as part of the bidding process, we saw a lot of interest in some of the offerings and their risk management offerings and what they all had programs that could help try to reduce the huge workers' comp increase we've had over the last 2 or 3 years. And Bliss has had that program too for years, and there's been, honestly, we've had such good luck that that hasn't been something that anybody's been excited to talk about. But now I think, based on conversations with Kyle and Anita, we kind of thought maybe we should revisit whether or not we shouldn't take advantage. These are free services from Bliss, and whether or not they would be helpful. I thought we'd bring Tim Durian. He's the risk management guy for Bliss, and he can talk a little bit about what services they have available that you may or may not want to take advantage of. So,
I'm staying. Can't see anything. I'm Tim Drury at Bliss McKnight. Looking over the workers' comp experience that you have, when you don't have an enormous group like you guys, does it take a lot of losses to throw you out of whack? So just to kind of give you a little historical history, like 2013, 3 incidents, 2014, 3, 2015, 5, 2016, 3, 2017, 2. I think there was another one just recently. So it's not like there's a giant trend that's moving your losses, but it was, what can happen with that is that you can have severity. So there's frequency and severity. And there's a big difference between 2013 losses of 8,000, 2014 losses 15,000, 1,500, to the 2015 year, which goes to over 500 and some $1,000 in losses. So, in looking at what we have to offer the county, We've got safety and training resources and risk management resources, and one of the things that I think we have to help the county, we have to lead you to water, and we're going to probably make some folks drink. We're going to be looking at the departments that seem to be the big drivers of those losses and looking at options, safety, training, reinforcements, etc., and looking at other options as well. One of the things that you don't want to do with a deteriorating experience like that, you don't want to go into the state-run pool. Premiums there could be double what you're paying now.
So as a trend, I'm going to interrupt Tim.
Okay.
We were, our premiums were dropping. It was $105,000 in 2013. That included like $24,000 about for the old FIPHD. When they came in here, because of the lower staff, really a lot of the lower dollars in salary, we dropped to $95,900 or about. Then in 15, $84,000. In 16, $78,700. This year, $104,159. Our quote for next year is $146,590. And so you take that 146 and double it if we have to drop into the state-run pool, and you're talking $300,000.
We talked, between myself and the other agents that bid, we talked to about 10 different companies that write workers' comp. We only found one that would even bid. So the next step is the pool, and it will be bad.
How close are we to it?
If you stay flat, if you stay flat, you're fine. Yeah. Again,
I think one of the things that we'd be looking for at next renewal is, can we point to efforts and activities that the county is taking that's going to lead towards improvement long term? You know, we're in the insurance business, so we don't jump and run away from something just because there's been some problems. We're looking at long term. But we're going to want to be seeing some...
You want to see some evidence
Yes,
of
sir.
training and cutting back in areas that have been a problem?
Yes.
Covering, doing things to
Lower those losses.
risks and possibilities. That's hard to do.
It's not impossible.
I
It's
know.
not impossible. We've got some options that we need to explore that the county's never looked at before.
So we need to get into something we haven't been doing.
Yes.
Russell?
I think, I don't know if everybody
I'm sorry.
understands how this works. I don't know, you might have took it one step before they understood that, this is a premium based off of payroll. And then it's the type of payroll that makes the difference. And then you take that and you add your experience rating, that was where the product you're talking about gets thrown in. It can get really out of whack then. Because we got some people that probably cost them, 85 cents, 100, something like that for that particular job. And then we got jobs that probably cost us, $15 to $20 per 100
And
of payroll.
there are some folks that do some dangerous jobs. Law enforcement is probably the number
It's
one.
like climbing a tower. You're on top of changing that light bulb, you couldn't fall off. Die. So that's what we're doing.
That's good.
Did you want to say anything
I
further?
think that's it. I talked with Randy. Our plan moving forward is to be meeting, working with those departments individually, because everybody is so specifically focused in those different exposures. Talking to courthouse employees would be not appropriate for the highway department or the law enforcement. So rather than throwing everybody in and saying, let's have safety meetings, we will, but they're going to be department focused and department driven. So they're going to be needs focused.
You will come back with meetings with various groups is what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
You set up advance notices, and will they be open to the public as well, or how do they happen?
I think we look at those that are usually just one-on-ones, just working with, me doing training, me working with individual department heads.
With department heads, okay.
Yeah, it's typically not like an open, I'm sure there wouldn't be a problem with people being there, but I don't think a lot of people are wanting to be there for safety meetings.
Toolbox talk.
Right.
So, right, when you talk about our experience rating, what we saw over this same period when I just listed, we were at a 0.94 experience modification rating, and this year, December is 1.37. So you're talking a 40% decrease, and that's a huge problem. So we need to pay attention to it, and we need to correct the trend, and we need to stop it, and we need to get back to our $1,500 or $8,000 a year losses, and try to stabilize what's happening here.
0.95 rate.
Since you brought up department heads, and in fact, we have a lot of them in the room here, I think it'd be appropriate to open up the comment section right now if any of the department heads have any questions for you.
Would it help the county for us to submit documentation of the training, safety trainings that we already do? For example, we do safety trainings yearly, a huge wide range of it. One of the things we safety train our employees on, besides the normal workplace environment safety trainings, proper lifting, using your thighs and not your back, and we have documentation of all those safety trainings because they're recommended by IDPH, so we've been doing those. Would it help if we submitted what we've already been doing to you?
I don't think you need to be making some additional reports. I think when I meet with you one-on-one, we can talk about those things, and then working together, we can identify what areas you think might be in need.
Okay.
Yep. Health departments typically are very heavy training oriented. Bloodborne pathogens and all that stuff, so I know you guys are probably on the leading edge of stuff. You're also not a big driver of the losses right now, so.
Do you guys also, do you have like an actual curriculum set up already, or is this, like a manual that you go through that each employee?
Well,
or are you going to create that, or what?
yes or no, but I think it needs to be tailored much more for the specific departments, because again, like we do have loss control manuals and safety manuals, but it would be different if I threw one at the health department and I threw one at the highway department, because there are some things that are going to be applicable in one area and not another. So I think it needs to be much more consultative based. But we'll be using like state and federal regulations, OSHA guidelines, those types of things.
Based off the type of occupation.
Yes.
The health department does do those trainings for other entities such as school districts, any entity that has asked for us to go in and do part of their safety training. So we could assist with that as well.
Wonderful. Good resource.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to...
Randy has it.
Yeah.
I really don't have, well, so, obviously I see the paper and hear news like everybody else, and, regarding this potential wrongful termination, all of that's going on, one of the things about Bliss McKnight and their program that I really like is they don't have to wait for a lawsuit to assign counsel and get involved, so they would prefer to try to start unraveling this before it gets complicated. So I called over there this morning, and things are moving along. When we get somebody assigned, they'll probably come in and start asking questions. From my standpoint as an outside observer, I would say if this goes to suit, you should all keep in mind that the board has to close ranks and speak as one. So be careful what is said. You guys are all smart enough to know how this lawsuit thing works. Anybody got any questions on that? Go ahead.
You know, have a lawyer, do they also talk to the person that was fired?
Yeah, they'll be, I'm sure they're talking to all the entities.
And maybe anybody she would mention they should talk to?
I'm sure they're willing to talk to whoever's interested. Anything else for me? Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to the fiscal year 18 audit. We've got two letters in front of us, and I think we're talking about approving engagement for them to start or something.
Correct. There are two audit engagement letters. There are two pieces. They're a little bit different this year. We did something different in a cost-saving we're saving $1,000. In the past, this is what we did. Our full audit, and then One, agreed upon procedures related to a consolidated financial report required for IDPH on the health department's results. Those results are as of the fiscal year end, okay? That was always done separately and historically done separately. That's done on a time and material basis, and historically it's run between $2,200 and $2,500 to do that report. What I talked to Hope about this year, it can be done as a part of the full audit because it has the same period end date. And so Clifton Larson Allen has wrapped that piece. It will be in the audit as a separate section. And so what ends up happening is it's going to save us about $1,000 in fees by doing it. It is, the only person it impacts is me, because it's going to make my time crunch worse. It's due at the Department of Public Health on 5/31, 6 months after, so I would finish the audit and then I would do the consolidated financial report, which has to use final numbers, so you need the audited numbers first. So what it's going to do is kind of extend my audit by a couple weeks and that crunch time, but I feel I can still get it done and hopefully meet that March deadline I've set for myself. All financials are due at the state 5/31. Our audit is due at the state 5/31. I don't ever like waiting till the last minute, so I've worked to push it so that we present, Hope presents at the March Finance Committee meeting, and then we can submit to the state during March. I also like sending it to them early. I just think I like regulatory agencies to see that we're on the ball and we're doing it early. I think it minimizes, it changes the way they look at how you're submitting your results. So that's what the big 15-page one is. And so the fees for both are $40,150 for both the audit, and it includes the section on the CFR. So what it means is when you upload to the vault the audit, it will include a separate section on the CFR. You won't have a separate report, but they should get that. They'll understand it. It's going to be spelled out in there. And then the second small one is the grant report that has to be done for IDPH, and that is on the state's fiscal year. So it's as of June 30th, and it's actually as of this last June 30th is the report there. That's historically, again, that's another one that runs time and material, so it's usually around $2,000, $2,300. I put it, last year it was $2,100. So total last year fees were $42,500. The total of both of these for this year is $42,250, so that they had built in a price increase and then took $1,000 off for doing the CFR along with the audit. So we'll be spending $250 less than last year, and the budget amount was $44,150. So we're about $1,000 less than the budget. So I do need a motion to approve these two so they can start work.
I move that we approve these engagement letters so we can move forward with this audit.
We'll hear a second. Ernie Curtis, a second. Any discussion? We've had some, but I think we pretty well covered it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We can move on for review of financial policies.
Okay, I emailed everybody yesterday. Really, when I had an intern here this summer, I spent a lot of time, it freed up some time to start writing financial policies. We've never had any written at this organization, and it's really key to define what your checks and balances are. It is key to define who has what authority, what your processes are. It should be laid out It's driven by two things. One, the federal government passed a new uniform grant guidance law in 2014. They changed the regulations for how all grants are reported and the requirements for thus, and oddly known as UGG. And it had different deadlines for what needed to change when. Part of that is the last piece to be implemented is specific grant guidelines. Everything from purchasing to recording to closing out a grant, how it specifies how all that is done, how costs are classified, what classifications are used. There is an entire section of federal code law that defines all this. It has to be approved by the county board by our fiscal year starting after October 1st, 2018, so next fiscal year. This year, rather than me try to figure out how to do that, I had extra money in my services budget, contract services, and I paid $1,000 to Clifton Larson Allen, and they wrote it. In the section that I emailed you guys, it's about 25 pages long. That is the biggest section of those policies because they wrote it in accordance with the grant guidelines. I sent that grant piece to Joel, to Dee, to Jim Devine, and to Eric Sacy, the people with federal grants, in August to have them review. I made a whole bunch of notes, and those are still in the draft that you guys got. You can see all my little notes in red where we'll probably want to change a word here or there to make it more appropriate for our job classifications. But that's that big piece. There are other pieces that I kind of drafted some easy policies. I really want to beef them up. One is capitalization. The auditors have been asking me for a couple years to write a fixed asset capitalization policy. And that's because we have a $10,000 threshold. And what we see all the time in our financials is we've historically booked a lot of expenses that aren't capital expenses in the equipment line. And so they want it defined. And it covers not just capitalization limits, but different levels for purchasing and what you do. What about disposition of fixed assets? What is our process for that? Etc. So I put quite a bit of work into what you saw. You have the only one I printed was for Ernie. But I really want to, once I get through the audit, I want to go back through and really, now that the initial is there, beef them all up some more and put some more detail in. The budget process is defined. It would include timing. So anybody who might come here after me would know exactly what our process is. It defines for auditors what our internal controls are and who's responsible for what. It is really a key piece in defining an organization's internal controls. So it's important to do. It will take us some time, but I wanted to communicate to this committee what's been done so far, where we're at, and I'd like to have you, in your free time, read through, let me know if you have questions, and I'll be sending it to the department heads too. It's really a little preliminary because I really want to put some more work into it, but I'm going to need all of them to look at it and say they understand or agree or see what I've missed as well in our process. Just because we are so decentralized. I mean, I really struggled with the purchasing section, and I think I gutted like a whole bunch of it yesterday again, because things like a purchase order system and a requisition system, we don't have that here. And so I really couldn't define it, and I didn't want to create a process that's not there. What I want to do is document what our current processes are. if at some point in the future, we want to add new procedures, that would be something we would want to, like our personnel policy manual, we'd want to put into our policies, but I didn't want to draft something that we don't have now. So that's what you've got. You received them all yesterday as of via your email. And what I'd like you to do is look through it over the next few months. I won't have time the next 60 days to touch it. So it would be a good time for you guys to kind of let me know your thoughts. And then as I turn back towards that we address it. But we do have to have it approved during fiscal 18. Okay?
Thank you for all the work you've done on that.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, any more questions for her?
I just ran it. The color printer's out.
Yeah, it helps if it's in color, doesn't it?
Okay, we'll move on to the department heads' reports. Treasurer?
Everybody's got a copy of the state payments. We did receive another public safety payment yesterday of $34,000, a little over $34,000, so it was actually a little bit more than the previous month.
How much was the sales tax for the same time frame?
August. 12,000
Wait a minute.
for August.
12,000 in regular sales tax, which is 1%.
No,
What?
a 1/4%. 1% goes to the
Okay.
municipality.
It depends on where the taxing location is.
Right. If the location is outside any municipal areas, define and how much in sales are we going to have that's outside any municipality? So the amount we get 1% on is very small.
Okay.
Most everything is 0.25% that we receive.
0.25, right. And then public safety tax is 0.25.
But remember,
On everything, on everybody's.
right, but we get 0.25 on everything anyway.
Right.
But what it does do is include all goods and services. So use tax is, so it's more of adding the sales and the use tax together. When you look at the resolution and the way it's written, it says, come to my office and I'll show you, but the verbiage in the resolution is that it's overall, so it includes use tax. So any sales within the county, any sales. So there are things that, like out-of-state purchases, etc. You know, vendors that purchase something here from out of state, they have to pay use tax, not sales tax. We don't get sales tax on it, but we get use tax on it. That's the difference.
Does that include Amazon purchases and internet purchases?
Well, no,
Not
that would be,
related?
It doesn't make sense, this use tax, so there must be a great amount of use tax that I don't remember seeing use tax being broke down where it stood out that much above sales tax.
well, look at fiscal 2016, our sales tax was $180,000 and our use tax was $313,000.
A lot of times when you say use tax, it's usually something tied to labor, I thought, but.
Could be, that's part of it. So July use tax was $21,000. Add that to, now it's not exactly the same period because the use tax isn't posted for August yet, but take that $21,000 plus $12,000 and where are you at?
Yeah, that comes out to 34.
Right.
So the public safety tax is going to be a lot more than what our sales tax ever was.
Yes, it will be sales, it'll be close to the sales plus the use tax.
that's quite a little bit different than the way we was originally looking at it.
Well, we talked about that. Is it gonna be 200, is it gonna be 400? It appears now it's gonna be 400.
See, we talked about that, we're in our meetings here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
Yeah, we talked about this for,
mm-hmm.
even back before it was ever put in place.
Yep, and during the budget process, trying to figure out what the right number was. So I think we have our answer. I mean, we're only 2 months in, but it sure looks like, and when I went back and really after the first payment, went through that resolution to try and figure out, I think probably with Kyle or maybe Mike, trying to, you know, get some sort of a grip on what it's gonna be. That's,
It seems like it's a constant average right now, our sales tax is only being $12,000 a month. Well, what do we budget for sales tax this year and for the last 20 years in sales tax total? I thought we was up to like a 900,000.
well, but that
800,000.
line is not just sales tax, isn't it? Isn't it sales replacement? I'll have to look at the budget.
If you look at our budget, when you go to that sales tax line, we had anywhere from as little as 700,000-800,000, and we've been as high close to $1 million in sales tax.
That does combine, Anita.
Sales, use, and supplemental.
Yes.
Sales, use, and supplemental.
Mhm.
I can change the name of that account so that it's more clear. Let me just make a note to do that.
Yeah, and the budget line is combined.
Okay, so just because it said sales tax, it was not necessarily just sales tax. It was
Right
sales
now, it's
tax
called sales tax.
Right.
Account 40200 is called sales tax, but
it's a
it's
combination.
sales, use, and supplemental.
Because right now, it looks like we'd be lucky to get $140,000 in sales tax. But the way we're going to see, yeah, $400,000 in public safety tax.
Could be.
Of course, when I look at the line,
I'll let you know for sure next October.
800,000 for sales tax, even when you add the two together, it still doesn't come up to where we want to be, but for budget reasons. But yeah, we'll look at it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bill. Dee, you got something to report?
Nothing new since health report on Tuesday.
I don't have anything, Charlie.
Nothing? Sheriff?
New employee started November 1st. Have retirement happen November 30th. So that employee is replacing the one that's retiring. He's got 2 years of previous experience, so we're just going to spend 3 or 4 weeks getting geography down and our rules and regs, policies and procedures, how we do things, and I'm hoping he'll be cut loose on his own on or before November 30th, so other than that, I think there's much.
You up to full strength now?
Well, yeah, I'm still, this one keeps me at 13 with the one, you know, but I guess it depends on what you're talking full strength.
Well, I'm not trying to...
From 10 years ago when we were at 19, no, we're not at full strength, but no, we're holding our own right at 13, so.
So this was a lateral transfer,
Yes, yeah,
teach him how to avoid deer, huh?
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, and to kind of just make a comment about the workman's comp side of it, my guess is any of the 102 counties in the state of Illinois, your sheriff's departments within those counties are going to be your highest liabilities as far as workman's comp goes. And, you know, the claims that we've had in the last 36 months, I'm going to say, have been, you know, when we've been affecting arrests. So I guess one of the ways we could cut down on our guys getting hurt is if we don't arrest rent that, Wendy. So, but no, you know, we went a long time there without having any, and then it seems like the last 36 to 48 months, we've had our share of them, so.
Goes in cycles.
Yeah.
Just the only thing is our contract expires November 30th. We started negotiations, first meeting was the 29th of September. We had our second one last week. We have a ways to go, but I'll keep the committee informed as we go. Just wanted to, we started the process. That's it.
Joel, you have a report? You're just in time.
Nothing major, no.
Nothing major. Bob?
Well, we got some great news today. First off, publications will be in the paper on the 13th, starting in, we'll be taking complaints to December 20th through the board of review, so that process is moving. Now, on a different note, yesterday afternoon late, the House passed House Bill 156, Amendment number 3. Basically what it is a statewide long-term occupant homestead exemption. So basically it takes your people who have owned and lived there in their homes 8 years or more, and then there's 4 increments from that. 8 to 11 years, 11 to 16 years, 16 to 21, and then anything above that gets an additional homestead exemption based on income, household income under $100,000. We have 8,705 current homestead exemptions given out. I looked on our census, last year's census information on household income. We had 8% of our households in the whole county earned $100,000 or more. So that leaves about 8,000, a little over 8,000 homestead exemptions that would technically qualify. And I also did a research of, in the last 8 years, how many single-family residential sales we have had. So that would be under the 8 year, change in ownership under 8 years. We got about 48%, which that's good news. So that drops that number to a little over 4,100 possible people who qualify for an additional exemption on their property. The Assessment Association of mine does not get involved in legislation that involves exemption, because that's a you know, we consider that legislatively done. But what we do get concerned about is when they give us unfunded mandates to administer those laws. This is one of them, because we will have to start processing. Just for an example, we have 1,400 senior freezes in the county right now. This will add 80, possibly another anywhere from 4,200 to 6,000 more possible applications that has to be processed based on tax information. Who's going to do it? Obviously, Volunteer Services does the senior freeze stuff now, and our local accountants do quite a bit of them too. But it's going to have to be maintained, it's going to have to be processed, it's going to have to be worked. So there's a twofold hit to the county. Obviously, it takes money to process that, or possibly another employee or part-time employee during tax season. Where's that stuff going to be stored? It's confidential information. It has to be maintained under secure storage. We don't have that, so stuff would have to be purchased. If Volunteer Services takes on that burden, then does that require them to hire somebody to do it? I don't know. I haven't talked to them. I don't know how they're funded. And then the other kick is it possibly could drop our, just on the surface, our taxable assessed valuation from a little over 11 million to possibly 18 or 20 million. That could be a $28,000 to $60,000 hit just on the general fund. But the other thing is, more exemptions spreads the tax burden across to other people, business owners, farmers, and if your fixed accounts, your Social Security, Workman's Comp, all that stays fixed, then you levy the same, then with less assessed valuation, that burden gets pushed to a smaller group of people. Yeah. So it's basically a tax increase on non-homestead occupants. And the Senate possibly could take it up as early as this afternoon. I urge you guys, Chairman, please, call Jason, get on the horn, stop it, please. This is getting out of hand. And I got a document here, it's called on the Illinois Taxpayers Federation on the effects that exemption has. It's a good read. I'm not going to go through it. If anybody wants to read it or I'll make a copy of it, it's good information because they're exempting this out of business and it's getting really difficult. And so, there you go. Good news today.
How many total residents do we have in the county?
We're under-
Residential
We're
buildings?
under 30,000, wasn't it, the last census?
28,870.
Well, that's the population, but how many residents? I mean, houses that you're,
Oh, we got residential parcels, we got 12,000 residential parcels.
and that figure, first figure you gave out was either 4 or 8.
8,705 people qualify for
Well, that's
home to
people,
live in
okay.
their home.
Okay. So it's a sizable sizable part of the residential homes in the county is going to be hit with a tax rate.
Right. So, I mean, it's, obviously, it's attractive to certain groups, but very unattractive to business owners, non-homestead.
And services offered to the county in return.
Services offered by the county have to be, and it's unfunded, obviously, and somebody has to process those applications, and it has to be maintained, it has to be secure because it's confidential tax information, and they have to reapply every year because it's based on income. So, just something to think about, and the Senate could take, and the House passed it pretty, almost 70-some to 30. So, I don't know what the makeup of the Senate is, Republican, and Democrat. I'm not sure how close it is.
Russell, you got a comment back on that?
Well, talking about the Illinois legislature, what basically this is all about. They keep coming back and creating new exemptions. I think it would really be good if they go back and look at some of the old exemptions they had in place for many years that were put in for given reasons that in today's world, those really probably should not be there. And basically get rid of some of the old exemptions or modify those old exemptions and instead of come back and just basically compounding the problem because, when you take this one out, somebody else is going to have to pay more. And what I keep seeing it is a young couple trying to establish themselves during those young years of having children grow up in the neighborhood and stuff. They're getting hit with the bigger burden. And that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, the people that have just bought their house would not be benefited by this.
That or the rent,
And-
because you know what, there's no...
So, and then obviously, non-homestead people would be hit by this, landlords, business owners.
Sounds like somebody's owned the house for a long time and lives in it, they might have a good benefit.
Kind of discriminatory, isn't it? Anybody moving in, we want people to move to our state, our county.
Mr. Barrettman's our senator, so give him a call.
It'll make that big decrease in our EAD,
That's right, yeah. Anywhere from probably over 11 million to 18 million.
so then a large
Right off the top.
increase in the rates.
Your fixed, the only reduction to the general fund would be a reduction in revenue. But there'll be no change in the rate. But all your other rates, your Social Security, your workman's comp, all that, if you haven't maintained the same level of cost, then with a lower EAV, the rate goes up. So all that benefit we just got for the rate reduction on the county side with, reducing the pension line could get wiped out in one fell swoop, rate-wise.
Is it too late to buy those slips?
I don't know if there's slips this time around because it's not in committee, so
Oh,
our group told us to contact your senator directly. So Mr. Barrettman is our senator, so give him a shout if you want this stopped. So, and it could be as quick as this afternoon. So,
What's the Senate bill number,
that's all I have is House Bill 156, and it's the third amendment to a shell bill in the veto session. And that, Lisa, I think that when you sent me an email about yesterday with all the increase in the exemptions, that was original, one of the first amendments to this one. So it's kind of just been amended, so.
Okay. Joe, You got a new 911 director, any comments about that?
First day was Tuesday, kind of showed him around a little bit, and talked to him a little bit yesterday. I think he's getting acclimated.
Maybe he could be at the county board meeting, be introduced or something like that there.
I'll say something to him about having him.
Any other reports? If not, we'll move on to claims. You got claims from Xavier here? Table claims? One more look. They got something else on new business. Any questions concerning the claims?
What's up with all the area-wide stuff?
It's a ebb and flow thing, you know, for a lot of months, we haven't had very many claims, and that's just the way it is. And then all of a sudden, a lot of things happen. There were a lot of changes this month. Our total month to date, we had 31 invoices for $3,757 at an average of $123 a piece. Our budget for area-wide for the year is $30,700. So far, we're at $26,187. That's with a couple other things in there. The $1,000 for Clifton Larson Allen to write those policies is in there, and there's $5,500 for we paid in August to have them do a security assessment. But the actual number of service calls for this year, we have paid for service this year to area-wide $19,687. That's 218.75 hours. If you average that over 11 months, it's less than 3 days per month, 2.84 days per month to perform service to all our 108 users. So about 3 days a month we spend on area-wide service compared to of having a full-time employee do it.
So when we see the different departments here, that's still coming out,
My budget.
that
Right.
technical, IT budget.
Right.
This
Other
is
than
coming
Joel,
out.
Joel pays his own service, but other than that, it all comes out of my department. It's all budgeted centrally
That's for it.
and managed centrally. So on average, our average monthly is $1,790 for the year. So about $1,800 a year, a month, sorry.
And then how much do we pay them for just contracts and all that kind of stuff that they do?
To me, contracts.
Well, this is above and beyond, right? The service calls are above and beyond what they're already paid for making sure all the software is in the right spots and all that kind of stuff, correct?
No, this is all time and
That's it.
material for
All time
fixing,
and material.
like setting up Eric as a new user, Sandy Drake moved to circuit clerk, that's a new user. I don't know, Terry couldn't get to the internet. It's all this stuff, updating software. When they do any of the updates to our software, they charge us time and material for that.
Any other questions on the claims? Do I hear a motion to accept the claims? Ernie Curtis? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Russell Bill, second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Yeah, if I should.
Do a roll call.
Oh, that should be roll call, I'm sorry.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry, yeah, right.
Alex,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Johnson. I have to talk about business.
Let's not talk in detail unless you talk about the other. You know
I'm
what I
going
mean?
to talk about the budget. I'm not going to talk about the oven. I don't know about the budget oven.
You weren't here, management meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, any old business?
I messed up, and when Amanda was asking me about the agenda, FY18 budget was on the agenda, and I said, oh no, it's done, because in my mind, it's done, I'm on to the next thing, and I forgot that we have to actually have a motion to approve the budget, which we can't do because it's not on the budget now, or it's not on the agenda. So it will be on the full board agenda, but you all have your copies. Every board member received it electronically on October 25th. Now you all have a hard copy you've received this week during committee meetings. But on Tuesday's agenda will be a resolution and a motion to approve that budget so that effective December 1st, we can start paying the new claims out of the new budget year. Sorry. That was totally my fault.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Moving on to new business?
Charlie,
Yeah.
I'd like to mention that last year, after the recycling event, the Finance Committee did vote to give SFA a $200 donation for help. It'd be nice if we do that again this year.
Okay. Can that be handled now, or should it go to the
We
committee?
can bring it to the full board, since it's
I
not
think
on
it
the
was,
agenda.
maybe it was already approved at that time. No, the event hadn't happened.
Yeah, I thought maybe we discussed that a couple months
Yeah,
ago.
we did.
Larry, when,
There was
Did
no
you approve the
amount
$200?
set.
I don't remember.
No,
that
there was
he
no
did,
amount
no.
or anything.
Last year was $200 donation
Said
that made.
donation would be nice.
They sent out twice as many kids this year as they did last year.
But you can't because it's not on the agenda, it'll have to go to the full board.
Oh,
Can we vote it in this committee and send it straight to, I don't think so?
I don't
Can we
think
put it
we-
straight to the board Tuesday?
I guess you can move to put a recommendation to the board to give a donation and
worst case scenario, we move back 30 days.
I thought we couldn't call it a donation. I thought we had to call it,
It is a donation.
I thought we had to call it something
We
else.
will call it later, otherwise we'll get workman's comp on it.
Do I hear a motion to recommend to the board a payment of $250 donation for the FFA, what's the FFA, boys and girls, help at the recycling event?
Perhaps you should call it a stipend.
What?
A stipend rather than a donation.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
A stipend rather than a donation.
I'm not concerned about the wording. If we are wording it incorrectly, tell me why it should be called that instead.
Well, I don't know if a taxing body should actually give a donation.
Oh,
That's my point. I think that's what Don was trying to say as well.
Right. Thought we called it, I don't know, something about reimbursement or for materials, or I don't know, we called it something else. Was
you can't
discussed.
call it reimbursement. I don't think you're okay with that. What's
last year
your
Dan made the motion to just call it a donation, it's just $200. That's how it was handled last year.
That's fine with me.
I doubt $200 is going to get us in any trouble. To a FFA person. Will it? Will you be written up for it?
I don't want to say, not from an audit perspective, no, not if we account for it properly. That's not, but from the taxing body issue, that's a question for Jim Devine. I don't want to answer that.
Does it come from the fund?
Yes.
The solid waste fund.
Recycling.
Yeah, right. Comes from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it'd be much different than what we give soil water. Or did give soil water. Now that's like fun.
Would it be backbreaking if we put it on the agenda for next month,
They
Larry?
don't, sure, that's fine.
Let's just put it
Long
on the
as they get
agenda
it,
for
they don't
next
care.
month, and we can clear it up that way.
I'd rather have it right, I agree with you, but, okay.
Then we can double check with Devine to make sure how to do it, and it's done.
Everybody be
And it's
comfortable
all
with
right.
how we do it then.
I have one new thing, maybe the sheriff could help me. Mr. Drake was here at the management meeting and brought news that the oven is not working, cooking meals for,
The oven's in the scrapyard.
and he had proposed buying a new one. I believe it was above $2,000, maybe 4,
Not to exceed 2,000.
not to exceed 2,000, but the purchase going to be split between the sheriff's department and what else?
Actually, no, I think the sheriff was paying for it.
It's going to come out of your budget or something, we need
Yes.
a motion to accept that or do it that way.
Yeah, we got in contact with, we wanted to put a commercial oven in there for several reasons. The one that we got rid of was purchased and installed in the jail in 1982, so I think we got its use out of it. This one is coming from a place out of Champaign that deals with commercial ovens and stoves. And yesterday, I presented a claim to Lyle Barron's Judicial. They're going to deliver it and place it. Chris will set it up, but they're going to deliver it and bring it inside for $1,249. So, and it's a commercial grade oven stove. So it's under the 2,000 limit that the management set, and Lyle went ahead and the claim, even though it was a management claim, since Lyle's chairman of both, he signed it, and it came over yesterday with the manager, with the rest of the judicial claims. The reason we needed to get it in is they're going to deliver it on Thursday. This coming Thursday, which is the 16th, they could deliver it. Otherwise, it was going to be maybe before Christmas, probably after Christmas. And because of the no credit cards and stuff that the county had, they want payment upon delivery. So we need a check cut so that when they deliver it on the 16th, we have a check to give them for the cost of that. And that claim, that all came about yesterday morning. So the claim got to Mr. Behrens, and he signed it and was gonna.
Okay. I understand it needed to come to this committee in order to make juggling the budget. The show was taken out of yours, and you were going to be over in one line, but was going to be reduction of your work in another line.
We don't know for sure if it's going to be over. What the issue is, the repairs and maintenance line in the sheriff's department is right now, the claims we have through October, $29,000 on a $32,500 budget. So that's an average every month of about $2,600, and he's got $3,400 left. So it's going to put him either right at adding this $1,500 plus who knows what else is going to break. He could possibly go over. The issue is that line in the administration building is running really low. We have $12,500 of a $25,000 budget. So if you look at repairs and maintenance in all three buildings, we're still going to be way under. It's not I wouldn't recommend changing the budget, because in total we're fine in what we've spent in the general fund for repairs and maintenance. But it is possible Sheriff will run over.
We're using a lot of duct tape and baling wire until December 1. So, and I think those maintenance and repair costs at the courthouse and jail have come down significantly.
They have.
In the last 7 months. So
we don't need to make a change now?
I mean, the average, the first 3 months were $4,300. And since May, the average is $1,200. So it has come way down. We could be okay. I wouldn't do anything.
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend changing the budget at all, but it's possible you'll run over.
I just remembered I was supposed to bring it before this committee, because I was on it, both committees. So it's all right to leave staying as is, all right? Any other new business? Hearing none? Do I hear that ethical motion? Russell, do you want to make it? Ernie will, I'm sure.
I will.
Ernie made the motion, do I hear a second?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, you're seconding it. Motion adjourned.